With the release of any new Doors update, there are bound to be secret additions which take a few playthroughs to be discovered. The recent Christmas update is no exception, as hiding within the cracks are hidden implementations just waiting to be discussed. This ranges from minor things, such as new room variations in Curious Light dialogue, to some pretty major ones, such as the secret mechanics of an entity or some hidden design choices of said entity. In today's video, I want to go over every single new secret change added in the latest Doors update, which you may have missed upon an initial playthrough. We have got a lot to discuss today, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so the first secret I'd like to discuss is actually a pretty major one, and it all has to do with one of the new entities added in this update, that being Breeze. Breeze is a blue, icy version of Ambush you can periodically come across in the new Christmas event. And although you may think they are just a reskin of Ambush and nothing more, they have a couple hidden features that actually makes them quite a unique entity. Most notably, unlike normal Ambush, who is programmed to follow a set path in each distinct room, Breeze can actually follow a total of 5. Each time Breeze spawns, they will follow one of 5 distinct pathways around the map, and some of these pathways can get a little crazy. For example, one pathway has Breeze spawn outside of the building and make their way in through the hole in the ceiling window that Krampus broke through. This mechanic also allows certain hiding spots to be more optimal, or less optimal, depending on which pathway Breeze decides to take, so that is definitely a consideration when you're handling with this entity. Still on the topic of Breeze though, the next secret actually has to do with their model. Now, in-game, it's actually incredibly difficult to get a good look at this entity, due to how fast they actually move. However, I did manage to retrieve their model and make it stationary within Roblox Studio, and there's actually a feature present here which you may not have known about. Breeze is the only new entity added in this update to have glitch particles hovering over their model. Now, this actually makes a lot of sense, speaking in terms of the story, as canonically, the whole Christmas event is a creation of glitch, just like the glitch fragment entities. So, glitch particles being present here isn't a surprise. However, all the other new entities don't have these particles, and Breeze moves so fast in-game it's basically impossible to make them out there, making actually witnessing this entity with these particles quite hard a sight to come by. It does make for an interesting secret though. Moving on from the Christmas event for a little bit, the next secret I'd like to discuss has to do with Curious Light. As you probably know, this entity will actually talk to you after you die in a subfloor, and only in a subfloor. And this Christmas update introduced some new dialogue for them which you may not have seen yet. As you may have known, due to the presence of lakes in the outdoors, as well as just bodies of water in general, you can actually drown inside of them if you want to. Previously, drowning in the outdoors made Curious Light just reuse Guiding Light's drowning dialogue from the mines, as drowning in the outdoors is completely voluntary. However, in this update, they were secretly given unique dialogue for dying this way. If you were hoping this dialogue was important, I'm sorry to inform you that all Curious Light does is call you stupid. This is because, as I said, drowning in the outdoors is 100% a player's voluntary choice, and you willingly have to do this by your own choice in order to encounter this death. But it is a pretty neat Easter egg, I'll say. Moving away from the outdoors, the hotel also got a somewhat minor hidden change which you may not have noticed, as you probably haven't played the hotel yet because Kringle's workshop is the main focus of this event. Anyways, as you probably know, many of the rooms in the hotel can actually spawn with colored wallpaper. Previously, the only colors that this wallpaper could have were red, blue, yellow, and green. However, this update actually introduced a few more new colors. Periodically, you can now encounter purple and white wallpaper, and maybe even orange, I think. And that just serves to add more variety to the rooms you do come across. That's not all though, as deeper versions of all the wallpaper colors were also added, at least to my knowledge. Some rooms will now have wallpaper that, although has the same color as the wallpaper in another room, the color is way more prominent and noticeable. These changes aren't the biggest, but they do serve as unique additions to increase the room variety in the hotel, which is a change I can get behind. Moving on, the next secret I want to discuss goes back to the Christmas event, so let's travel over there. This secret involves some hidden dialogue Kringle has. Now, many of you probably have just talked to this entity once, seen its rather unimportant and somewhat cringe dialogue, and moved on with the event. However, Kringle actually has unique dialogue lines, which they can say if unique circumstances are met. For example, they will have a unique voice line for if you hold out one of the two buddies currently in the game in front of them, those being the Pumpkin and, well, Kringle themselves. They also have unique dialogue if you hold any consumable item in front of them, such as cheese or a donut. That's not all though, as they also say unique stuff if you hold a crucifix specifically in front of them, which kind of parodies how El Goblino reacts when you hold a crucifix out in front of them, where they both think it's some sort of dangerous weapon and want you to put it away. And lastly, they have a couple of unique dialogue lines if you hold a present out in front of them. Kringle is quite an interesting character, and I guess this just serves to further display their personality. Lastly, the final secret I would like to discuss also revolves around Kringle, and it's actually what their purpose is. If you're like me, you may wonder what Kringle even does, given their little story importance in the event. However, this character does actually have somewhat of a narrative, and it's told through their dialogue as well as the environment. Apparently, Kringle carves coal into various different shapes, which can actually be seen all throughout the tables in the event map, and then packages them into the presents we collect in the playthrough. Yeah, that's right. According to Kringle, every single one of these presents just has coal inside, nothing else. Coal that is carved into a specific shape. Kringle also has something called Peppermint Magic, which they can use to open the exit door and, as they've said, to make the room Christmas themed. This magic appears to come from the candy cane wand they can pull out. That's basically the entire narrative of this character. It's not that exciting, but hey, it exists. And I'm pretty sure you didn't know about it prior to watching this video, so I guess it is considered a secret. So, those were a few of the secret additions in this new Doors Christmas update which you may not have known about. I'm sure there exists plenty more, but since this was a relatively small update, I wouldn't be surprised if that was it. Still, I think what we got was pretty meaningful, especially the stuff relating to Breeze, as I think their mechanics are just super cool, especially with how they can sometimes airdrop through the window Krampus figure broke through. That's such a unique entity interaction. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what you think of all of these secrets, as well as if there are any more you managed to find what I didn't mention. And as you're down there, tell me which ones you actually knew about, because I'm pretty sure you didn't know about any of these secrets I mentioned, but if you are a devoted player, you might have known about some, so just let me know. And thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.